So today I want to share a transitional challenge that I think most entrepreneurs face, most business people, most anybody who's looking to take a jump from their current situation. I'm going to share my perspective and my challenge. So my problem is I've been standing in between two different identities, the current version and my future version. And I think most of us, when we want to take that jump to the next version of ourselves that we know we're capable of being, we also stand in between those two versions. One of them is based on a vision of the future where we can see, feel, touch, and know what we want. But then we look around us and we see something very different. For me, I've got a certain amount in my bank account. I see credit card balances. I see travel expenses. I see payroll expenses. I see unfinished projects. I see production bottlenecks within my business. But the future version of myself sees a growing, established, worldwide, global enterprise, with multiple revenue streams, huge production capacity, good relationships, brand equity, sees all these things, opportunities. And the tension comes from deciding which one is reality. My current reality, which is what I see, or my future reality. And the question I use to ask myself is, how do I get to that version? How do I get the money in my account? How do I get all those things that I'm looking for? But it wasn't until recently that I realized that I'm asking the wrong question. The right question is, which reality am I allowing to define me? Which version, which evidence, which proof am I holding on to and allowing that to become my reality? The evidence of what I see in my account today, or am I anchored based on the vision of tomorrow? And what this says about me, what this says about you, yesterday actually, I had a challenging day. I had a day where the accounts were low, we had to make payroll, it was just a challenge. And it's so easy to say God is my source. But there's a part of me, and if you can relate to this, there's a part of you that still uses the bank account as my source. There's a part of me that still says, okay, if I have the money in the bank, I'm good. And that's not faith. That's not moving on faith. That's moving on reality. Faith does not require security. Faith does not require certainty. And when I checked my account, my emotions went up. And today I got a call saying that somebody owed me some money and my emotions went up. And then they called back and said it was a mistake. My emotions went down. And that revealed the true source of my identity, the true source of my being. My account has become my God. My account has become my thermometer. It sets the tone for everything that I do, how I move. And that's not faith. That's not what's required. And I'm speaking to you as someone who is doing the work, who has done the work, who knows the truth. So it's a question of daily repetition. When the number is high, when I got money in my account, I'm on cloud nine. I feel powerful. But when that number is low, I'm almost like a baby. I'm in a vulnerable state, like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? And the future version of me doesn't ignore either one of them. But the difference is that version of me does not worship, does not surrender, does not bow down to those numbers. That version of me, if I had to transport that version of me into today, he'd open up the account. He sees that the account is low. And what happens? Nothing. Because he knows something that I don't fully believe. And it's funny when we say this. I'm laughing because it's starting to hit. That future version of me is not moved by the account because he knows that this is part of the story. That in a year from now, I'll be looking back. Think about this. Last year, I had a situation where I had to use my personal savings to make payroll. I've never had to do that. I had cash sitting in my house, and I had to use that cash just to make sure that my guys were paid. Never in my life had to do that. Now, if I can go back today, go back to that person a year ago, and when I see the account was zero. No, it was like $500. And then I'm looking at my current self, let's say Finney 2025, right? He's panicking. Actually, when that happened, I didn't panic. I just went and got the cash. But when I got the cash, I was a little bit concerned, like, man, this is my last dollar. I don't know where the next money's gonna come from. But the me of today in that situation, he looks at that and he's calm. He's not moved because he knows you're gonna make it. You're gonna be fine in a year from now. And so fast forward till today, what I'm going through, and I'm sorry if I sound excited because the solution is starting to come to me now. It's starting to make more and more sense. When you go back and look at where you've come from, the days that you panicked, the days that you were worried, the days that you couldn't sleep. I can take you back 10 years when I haven't had a sleepless night in years. 2017 was the last time I had a sleepless night. I was literally up at night, could not sleep. I wanted to sleep, but I could not sleep. And when I went to sleep, I could not wait. I didn't want the day to come. I just wanted to keep on. I was in a dark state. So what that future self knows is that this account is just a snapshot. It's not a verdict. It's not an indictment on me. It's not an indictment on my identity. It's just where we are, where my capacity is today. The account just tells me where I am, not who I am, not whose I am, not why I'm here. It doesn't even tell me about my mission. It's just the scorekeeper. That's it. And that can change tomorrow. And I think this is what people who have made it, I'm not going to say wealthy or rich, but people who are successful, they understand that the confidence doesn't come because of money. The money comes because of the confidence. You got to be that person before the money arrives. In other words, the money wants to be with the confident person. And that's why we see this imposter syndrome when you get the money and you go broke. The identity doesn't change. The money exceeded the capacity. And right now, I'm in a stage where I'm expanding my capacity. And that is so uncomfortable, so challenging. And so the shift that I'm making and that I would strongly suggest that we all think about today is let's stop asking dangerously, okay? This is dangerous. This stuff is not easy stuff, okay? This is counterintuitive. This is what the world will tell you not to do. This is irresponsible. But stop asking how much money do I have? And instead of asking that, let's start asking, what has God already put in my hands? What assets has God put in my hands? For me, I've got several businesses. I've got relationships. I've got production capacity. I've got employees. I've got sales skills. I've got marketing skills, leadership skills, industry knowledge. I know more about this industry that I'm in than 95% of the people in the industry. I know about customer relationships. And most people who have money in their account would trade places with me if they understood what the earning power and the earning potential of these assets that I have are. And what do you have? What assets do you have? What assets has God put in your hands? You see, the thing about this is we undervalue the assets that we have And we overvalue the assets that other people have. And we get trapped in this comparison loop. We look at somebody else and say, if only I had this, if only I had their good looks or whatever. Some of you here on this, listening to this channel right now, you have the ability to speak life into anybody. Some of you are great at cleaning, but you work a job that you don't even use that skill. Some of you are some of the best designers, the best fabric people, tailors, seamstress, the best caregivers, the best salespeople. Do you know what that asset is worth? Do you know what school is? School is where people go to train to know how to do what you do. Where was the first school? Somebody had a skill and they owned that skill and they taught it, they outsourced it to others. You have a marketable skill that you're not even using. You literally have a gold mine within you. And you abuse those assets. You don't market those assets. You don't refine those assets. And every day you complain because you're not willing to take a risk and bet on yourself. You're not willing to go out there and invest in harnessing those assets and waiting. Because when you plant the seed, it doesn't come the next day. It takes time. It took you 9 months to get here, maybe 6 if you're a preemie or less. But it took time. The manifestation does not happen instantaneously. It takes time. We have to be willing to be patient. And it's not about waiting on God, because waiting on God is not something you do with your hands folded. Waiting on God occurs when God has given you clear orders, a directive. Go do it while other things are working. We confuse this waiting on God as if God is going to come from somewhere and you see God physically. Guess who waiting on God is? It's waiting on that contract. It's waiting on that door to open. It's waiting on the phone call to come. But guess what? When that phone call comes, you better be ready. You're waiting on God, but when God shows up, will you be ready? Will you be ready to move? Will you be ready to sign? Will you be ready to say, I do? Are you marriage material? You're waiting on God to bring you the perfect spouse, the perfect husband, the perfect wife, but you're not ready. What are you doing today? Are you in the gym? Are you eating the right foods? Are you preparing the home for your wife? Are you preparing the cooking skills for your husband or for your wife? What are you doing today to become that version of you that God will recognize and say, I'm here? Because the God that you're waiting for is in that spouse, is in that job, is in that career, is in that business. That's where it is. And so the jump that I'm looking for, the jump that you're looking for, is not financial. It is not financial. Let's forget about this. And this is probably going to be the hardest thing that most people will try to wrap their head around, because they thought Kingdom Builders was just about money, and it is. But it's becoming the person. It's developing the capacity to contain. And when we do that, the money will never be an issue. The jump that we're looking for is mental, is spiritual, is psychological. And that future version of us, we stop measuring abundance by possession. We stop measuring abundance by the paycheck. We don't measure abundance by what we have. We measure abundance by who we are and what we can produce. So I want you to ask yourself, if somebody, God forbid, well, no, I don't know. I'm not going to say God forbid. I don't know what God's will is for your life. But, well, we do know God wants you to prosper. Well, God's will for you is to prosper. But if you had zero, your account was wiped out tomorrow, and all you were left with was your knowledge about whatever you do, your relationships, if you have a business, your business, and if you don't have a business, let's say you still had your job, and then you still have your experience, and of course your reputation. Hopefully you have a good reputation. How long would it take you to rebuild, knowing what you know today? I'm going to go out on a limb. For me, it will take me faster than the average person. And I think knowing this is where our confidence comes from. And what I've decided is I'm going to do 3 things differently. And I want you to do these 3 things, or at least think about incorporating these 3 things in your life today. Number 1, stop checking the scoreboard so often. And what I mean by that is stop analyzing, beating yourself up over the bank account. Don't go for the next 24 hours at least. Don't compare or evaluate your worth through your bank balance or your, how much debt you have or how much money you got coming in. Those are outcomes. And we've talked about this in another episode. Effort over outcomes. So instead, I want you to evaluate your effort. What are you doing? How many calls did you make? How many meetings did you take? How many products did you sell? How many times did you put yourself out there? How many systems did you build? How many people did you develop? How many hires did you make? How many interviews did you have? How many dates did you go out on? How many times did you introduce yourself to somebody new? Change the scoreboard. More effort, less outcome. So write down 2 things. In fact, 1 thing you can do this week. It's going to be different in terms of the scoreboard. Do you have to introduce yourself to more people? Do you have to go out to new places you've never been to? If you're looking for a husband or a wife, do you got to go to more events? How many events do you need to go to every week? The second thing is I gotta create evidence. Because remember, my brain, your brain, our brains thrive on proof, on evidence. If it can be done, if it sees that it can be done, then it's not unsafe. And so today, I'm going to identify a few things that future version of myself would do. Some actions that future version of myself would take. And I'm not talking about visualization or thinking about them. I'm talking about doing those things. 3 things that the future self would do. And it doesn't have to involve money. For me, it could be something as simple as taking a walk in the middle of the day. Because that version of me is not stressed, is not overwhelmed, has the time. It could be something as calling your wife or your husband. And if you are someone who is single right now and the future version of you is married, what does that married version of you do? Maybe a date night with yourself. Yes, do it. Maybe it's going out for lunch. Maybe it's shopping for something for that significant other. And the last thing that I have on my list is to practice future memory. What does that mean? It means the same thing, similar to what I just said. What would the future version of myself that's doing whatever I'm doing say about this season? And for me, the season I'm in right now, I think that future version of me would probably just laugh and say, hey, you think money is the issue? That ain't the issue, bro. The issue is you need to be a better steward. You need to learn how to manage this, because over here on this side, it is gravy. It is nice. And a deeper observation that I've made is my real fear is not, well, I don't think it's the debt or the money issues. I think the real fear comes from, what if I'm wrong? What if this vision that I'm seeing doesn't happen? What if all this effort doesn't pay off? What if I'm not actually that person that I think I'm becoming? But every piece of evidence from my life says something is different. I started with less. I've built businesses from nothing. It actually was less than nothing. It was on credit. I have people who depend on me. I have customers. I have partnerships. So I'm literally living inside prayers that an earlier version of me once prayed for. So this is evidence. And the future version of me isn't worried because he already knows that today's version has not fully accepted a few things. Number one, the supply was never in the account. The supply was from God. The supply was always flowing through me, through the person that God was developing, building in this fire. So today, I'm going to act as if my assignment is to become that man capable of stewarding all the things that I mentioned. Not to chase the money, not to see how do I sell more, but how do I be more? Because that money is going to follow the becoming. The money is going to follow the capacity. And the capacity follows the identity. And the identity is built one decision at a time.